Welcome to What Was He Thinking? My name is A.B. Bracewell. Today I'm going to be your personal tour guide through a man's psyche. Take this journey as we explore why a man thinks the way he thinks, why a man acts the way he acts, and why a man feels the way he feels. No questions off limits, and no topics too hard. By the end of the show, you'll have a better insight and a better understanding of who we are as men. Today, we're going to be talking about, once again, the hurt in us, healing the hurt in us as men. Sometimes we use sex and we use women to cover up the pain that we go through, to cover up the hurt that we're experiencing. If you've seen the other episode, I had my brothers Maurice Rush and Herbert Lust going there, and we dove deep into that topic. We dove deep into that conversation. But for this episode, we have a young lady with us. We have Miss Tracy Reddy on the show. Tracy Reddy, she has studied marriage and family therapy. She is a dating and relationship preparation coach, and she has just so many great things going on social media and with her organization, with her company. So, we're going to jump right into it. Help me welcome to the show, Tracy. Welcome
Thank
back, Herb
you.
and Maurice. So, Tracy, you
Yes,
watched the previous episode.
yes,
Um, I know you got questions. I know you
I
got
do.
questions.
I do.
So, really, we're in the hot seat right now, and
Okay.
the show is yours. This might be what was he thinking, but you're going to be our special host, and me, Maurice, and Herb. We're here to answer questions, and we're at your disposal. So, what questions do you have for us when it comes to the sexual education of Black men, and specifically healing the hurt that's within us?
Yes. So first of all, you gentlemen are all each and every one amazing. It was so great to hear. My husband and I have conversations like this all the time, but to hear other men that are getting it, my organization is called Soul Care for Single Black Women, and a lot of single women are just like, ain't no good men out here, and I be rooting for y'all, man. I tell them all the time, no, they're there. They are there. They're doing the same thing you're doing. They're healing. They're learning themselves. They're becoming better people. So to know that I ain't just saying something in faith and to actually see it is amazing. So with that and listening to y'all's conversation and really starting to unpack what it looks like, the role that sex plays for men. The first question I have is this. So I know a lot of times when men are talking, I run a lot of circles just to hear what people are saying. And so a lot of times guys will say, oh, sex is unemotional for men. It's unemotional. It ain't got nothing to do with emotion. And I know that to be a lie, from because like I said, I study everything and everybody. I've asked tons of men over the years, if it's unemotional, tell me this: are you able, if you were right there? Well, this is a family show. Hopefully, if you were right there in the act, and she said, "Oh, this feels horrible. You suck at this. Could you keep going?" No man yet has told me that he could keep going, which lets me know there must be emotion tied to sex for men. And now just in dealing with people, I'm starting to learn what that is, and hearing you guys talk is very emotional. So my question is, how can we change the narrative, so that men can start to make that connection, that or consciously make that connection that sex is emotional for them, and what that then looks like? Because I think trying to solve it without acknowledging that is going to be a hard road to travel. So what are you guys thoughts on actually connecting that piece for men, so they don't just think, oh, we're just having sex because it's just fun? No, you're actually feeling a void.
It starts with what we're taught. From as a child and young boys, we're taught to detach our emotions from sex. We're taught to, just simply go after the pleasure of it, and to have sex with as many women as you can, because those are the guys that's championed. Those are the guys that celebrate it. You know, those are the guys that seen as cool, or, you know, as, you know, I guess the valuable ones. So I mean, it all starts with the way we're conditioned, you know, as young men, and how to view sex, and not only how to view sex, but I think if we are really taught the impact that sex have on the things we do have on women, you know, we may be more conscious, or we may be more considerate by the way we move. A lot of the times we're not taught the other side. You know, we're just taught that, hey, this is what you do. You go out and get yours and get as much as you can. But we're not always taught of the impact that that stuff is doing to so many women that we deal with. So we just learn to do what we do and walk away, and let the young woman deal with her hurt and the pain on her own. We totally ignore it. We detach. We cut her off. And I think if we, from a young age, if we start to learn that, you know, it's a human being on the other side of this thing, that might help us understand and become more emotionally attached to what we do.
So, question with that being said, it is, I agree, it's with the teaching. But like you said, there is a lot tied to this, like centuries worth of a connection to, you get a lot of women, that means we as men will celebrate you, you know. And so that's a real boost to all the things that's important to y'all. So how difficult do each one of you feel it would be to change, to speak to that to a man who he's all the way over there on that end, where it's like, nah, bro, I'm not trying to hear all that, you know, these hoes, you know, whatever his thinking is. But to try to counter, how difficult is it for each of you to counteract that and really speak to that? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm being clear on what I'm asking. I know it's in the teaching, but how difficult is it to have that conversation with your boy who is, he gone, but he needs to
Yeah,
hear this?
I
Yeah,
think with that, Tracy, and that's an amazing question. Thank you for asking. I think for with that, you got to be transparent about the impact that it's had on you, the negative impact, right? So I can speak from from my own experience. Like, you can do all the sex you want, when you wake up the next morning, whatever you was feeling before that sexual encounter comes back. So you might be fine. Same thing with drinking, same thing with smoking. You get your little high or your little drunkenness, but then eventually you got to sober up again, and all those inadequacies come back and things along those lines. So I think that just that transparency to say, well, you can do that, man, but it is not a substitute for healing. It's not a substitute for it. And something I was saying, you know, in the last episode, um, you miss out on so much in life if you're just pursuing sex. Like, life has so much more to offer than just sex with a bunch of women. And don't get me wrong, sex was amazing. I'm not, you know, discrediting what, you know, how what sex is. But there's so much more that life has to offer than sex. Women had so much more to offer than sex. And to kind of speak to those things. Like, she is so much more than the thing between her legs. Like, she's so much more than that. And if you can teach men to respect women for who they are, if you can teach men what they're missing out on by that, in that pursuit of women, in that pursuit of sex, how much more they can have if they kind of shift that focus from this girl to that girl to that girl. I think that that's the first step, right? It's going to be tough to reach every man. Obviously, you know, you're not going to reach every single person that you talk to, but at the very minimum, like, try. You know, like, here's what you can be doing. Hey, man, you know, if you wasn't talking to 4 girls right now, you probably would have that promotion at work. If you weren't talking to 4 girls right now, you could have started that business by now. You know what I'm saying? For me, you know what I'm saying? If you weren't talking to 4 girls, your show would be on TV right now. You wouldn't just be on YouTube. You might be on TV right now. But, you know, your free time, you're talking on the phone or texting someone or trying to schedule time to have sex. And, you know, to have those honest conversations with people, I think that's where we start at, right? To kind of let people know what they're missing out on.
That
I,
is so good. Thank
I,
you. Go ahead, Herb.
yeah. I want to say this because I think it goes back to, you know, accepting real mentorship. So I'm gonna open up here about for me what happened for me and what actually took place. So I remember my father, and I mean, Adama and Reese know my dad is a former Philadelphia Eagle, former football player, that sort of thing. So he's lived a life. Like he knows, you know what I mean? The ups and downs, women, that sort of thing, went to Long Beach State, all this kind of stuff. I remember when I first started like really talking to multiple women. And I remember what my father said to me. He said, son, you better be careful, because if you keep doing that, the one that you really love and the one that you really want, you're going to lose her. And I laughed at him, right? So we do this emotional detachment. Ain't no woman going to ever come up that I'm a want and that I'm a want to be with and that I'm a really fall in love with. But the fact of the matter is that that does happen. You do find somebody. And what happens is if you don't heed that counsel, you can end up losing. And I really think it's being honest. This is what you could lose. And I think sometimes you have to fast forward that and show them, hey, this is what you're going to lose. And so what happened to me is because I didn't correct that behavior when I should have. As I told these guys earlier, I mean, I don't want to say that every woman that I was with was bad, but I know for sure there are some women that God sent into my life that could have been Mrs. Lust right now. I know that for a fact. But because I did not heed that counsel, I lost them. So I think showing what you can lose, like the severity of it. So now you're always on a mission to try to reclaim that, right? It's not emotional, but you're on that mission to reclaim that again. So I think it's a combination, the mentorship, heeding it, but explaining this is what you're gonna lose. And I'm sure these brothers can tell you there are women that came in their lives where they probably, I mean, they're good enough now, but they probably would say, yo, I made a mistake. Yo, I messed that up. I could have did better. I could have fixed this. I could have been more loving. I could have been more patient. I could have did these things. I could have not treated her like an object. I could have tried to do my best with her and her only, not her as my main joint and then have 6 other secret joints somewhere else that nobody knows about. So that's just a thing.
Yeah. If I could add real quick, like what I realized, what we all have in common, the guys on here, is that we had to experience the hurt and the pain before we got to this point. You know, there's a lot of things growing up that, you know, we was taught, hey, don't sell drugs. We probably didn't go sell drugs. Don't join a gang. We probably didn't go join a gang. But when it came to sex, that was one thing we had to experience before we learned the lesson. We had to experience the actual consequences. And that thing, that's so hard when we talk about teaching men what we're talking about now, because a lot of us, the pull of sex is so difficult to walk away from. Is that they, for the most part, most men is going to have to experience it before they turn. And you know that we can talk. Hopefully, we can impact or influence some guys, but I think the majority of men will have to experience the consequences before they actually learn a lesson.
Yeah. Which means women gonna have to suffer in those situations until the man finally, the string of women that he's going to impact, we won't be able to change that, because there's always going to be a woman who he's going to speak and say the right things to. She's going to open her heart, she's going to open her legs, and then we're going to have the issue. Okay.
But I think what can honestly help with is brothers who have lost. It's the brothers who they're hearing from brothers who ain't lost nothing. So they need to hear from me where I was almost engaged. Okay? They need to hear from somebody like me. They need to hear from somebody like me where it was stripped, where they left. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's what will change. Like he said, if they're hearing that will stop it. Hey, brother, this is what happened to me after I did that. This is what I lost. This is what I felt. Do you want to feel this way? Do you want to experience this? You know, so I think that's what can help with that. I'm hoping.
Okay. So with the guys that are coming up, like the younger guys who y'all are mentoring, they can see y'all's lives. They're more probably open to hearing, how do I avoid pitfalls? You may be able to save some of them. But for the guys who are already kind of in the motion of all of this, do you feel like it's a hopeless cause, like to try to to try to reach them with, like you said, a lot of them already had bad experiences, but they don't connect the dots to, it's because of that series of things. So I'm like, is it a hopeless cause? And if not, what's the starting point with that? I'm sitting across from my boy, he telling me, yeah, man, I did this with this girl, and then the next day I did this. What's that conversation for the men that are listening who get it like you guys? What's the start of that conversation?
We can talk to them about not having multiple women, but then if they see how we treat our sisters, or they see how we treat our mother, or they see how we treat or talk to women in general, then why would they listen to us telling them not to sleep with a bunch of women? So there's the contradiction, right? Don't sleep with a bunch of women, but you can treat them however you want to. Don't sleep with a bunch of women, but you're still over them and they're not important. Don't sleep with a bunch of women, but you're superior to them. So I think it has to be a holistic conversation. And then as far as it being hopeless, I think it's only hopeless when we think that doing the right thing is hopeless. And honestly and truthfully, it doesn't matter it does matter. Obviously, you don't want to keep doing the wrong thing so many different years. But the fact of the matter is whenever you learn it is when you learn it. And then once you learn it, you have to give it so other people can know it and learn it.
No, I mean, I don't think it's hopeless at all. I do think it's hard because, like I said, I've been there, and I know for me, I know how hard it was for me to change the way I was thinking, the way I behaved, the way I viewed women, the way I viewed sex. It wasn't an easy thing. I just think it would take maybe us changing the message when it comes to sex. Instead of, I think when it comes to sex, women or men, I should say, when it comes to myself, I was either sold the dream that sex was this great thing, or you was the man when you had a lot of sex, or I was sold the nightmare about women. Women are, they're there for your pleasure. They're there to use you so you get what you can from them. And I think that message only led me to act in one way. So I think if we can kind of change the message about women, change the message about sex, and teach younger guys or men that we're mentoring that this woman is a person, she's a human. I think it might change the way we approach them, because that's something I try to teach my son to this day. I try to, just be her friend. No, don't just learn how to. I know you got your guy friends that you like to play basketball with, but she could be your friend too, because that's not what I was taught. I was taught, you stay separate from the girls, and the only time you engage with the girls when I got older, when I wanted sex. I never learned how to just develop regular friendships with them. So I think the message has to be changed on how to develop friendships with women.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what you were saying, AB, I think that we've talked a lot about educating the younger men, right, in this conversation. But something I'm also mindful to do is to educate my sisters as well. So I'll have conversations with younger women, older women, more likely older women, about how to see, like, from things that I've done, how to recognize when someone's moving in a certain way. I talked to a young lady one time and she was like, I know this guy loved me. Like, he just would tell me he loved me all the time and yada, yada, yada. I was like, was it your boyfriend? She was like, no. But like, I'm telling you, the way he looked at me, the way he held my hands, I knew he loved me. I said, how could he love you if he wasn't giving you the one thing you wanted, which was a relationship? You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't give you the one thing that you wanted and you're telling me that he loved you. So just having those conversations with women so they can start to identify when people are moving in the direction of kind of hitting it and quitting it, as we so to speak. So that's something that I'm also mindful to do, right? When I get an opportunity to sit down with a young lady, is to say, tell me about them. You like them? Tell me about them. Okay, well, if you really like them, don't have sex with them right away if you really like them, which is weird. Like, it's weird to hear that, especially coming from a man. I really like this guy. You don't want me to have sex with him? No, no, no. Don't have sex with him, because if he really wants you, he'll wait. Let me say that again. If he really wants you, he's willing to wait. So like if you make him hold, if you're holding out a few weeks, a few months or whatever, if you're who he really wants to be with, it's no problem, you know. Um, and to hear things like that, then you're covering it from both ends. So you're educating the young men on how to treat the young ladies, and then you're also educating the ladies on what to expect and how to kind of avoid falling down some of those pitfalls that others have.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
from a woman's perspective, it's really which one is one of my questions that I had on here, which is a lot of times I hear a lot of guys who I guess finally reached that point where they're like, okay, this chase and tail ain't ain't all it's cracked up to be. And then the next thing out of their mouth is, you know, women, y'all need to bring more to the table than just sex. And it's like, as women, as little girls, we're not even socialized to bring. It's like sex the last thing we're told to give away. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we adapt to that because we think, oh, is that what they want? So if in order to get the relationship, I got to give the sex or what I think will be a relationship. So my thing is, from a woman's standpoint, what you're saying, Maurice, yes, it's good to know. It's great to know the tips or the clues on. Wait a minute, is this, you know, is this a real thing, or is he just trying to play you? But I also see where or why. I'm really processing this, y'all talking. I'm seeing why I hear a lot of guys say, which I used to get really offended by this. Women, y'all need to just stop giving it up. You know, y'all need to, if y'all just stop doing that, then, you know, maybe, and it seems like they're shifting the blame onto us, or shifting the responsibility of his sexual purity or his sexual prowess onto the women. But I can see how if women were more of a wall, like, you can't come here and get it, that would make you have to either turn to other men or turn to inward and say, wow, I need to look at me. But since you ain't gonna get all women, you know, to say no to, because now it's not even taboo anymore. It's not even anything, or, you know, people on their own agendas as it pertains to women and sex and all. That's a whole nother story. So you're not having as many women, or you have a segment of women who don't really care. They like, I want to be sexually free too. I want to be sexually expressive as well. How do you guys manage that? And I know you all specifically have reached a point in your development where it's like sex ain't the main thing for you. But when you do come across them, I mean, I know some girls out here, they're really ready. You know, they're ready to give you whatever you want, and they trying to be all heartless too, and detach their emotions from the experience. How do y'all deal with that when that temptation is right there? Ain't nobody gonna know, man. She right there. She stay next door. It ain't gonna be nothing. Nope. How do you guys deal with that?
I think the word struggle is real, right, Tracy? So like the struggle is real, right? So it didn't come up all episode, but like I might be good 6 days out the week, and then I might have my one night where I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want someone here with me. And that's when struggle comes into play, right? So I think you just try to capitalize on the things that work and kind of reduce on the things that don't work. So for me personally, generally speaking, like I try to stay busy. Like that's what I try to do. I try to keep things like even like my downtime is scheduled in, like where I don't have anything to do. Like I schedule that in, right? So when someone wants to come to me like, hey, I want to come over tonight, I may have planned on doing nothing that night. So no, I'm good. Like I don't want any company tonight. I'm fine. I have 2 children. I try to keep them on my schedule a lot. You hit me up, oh, my kids are here, you can't come over. I got to do this tonight, or I can't do this. I can't do. So like I'm completely fine with saying no for me personally. But again, that goes back to my earlier point. If you realize how much stuff you're missing out on, because there are some men who would say, "Oh, you want to come over? Hey, mom, can you watch your kids?" You know, now you're taking away time from your children. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, it's just it's a struggle, you know, and trying to stay busy. I personally am turned off when someone is incredibly sexually aggressive towards me. It turns me off. Not because I don't enjoy sex, because I think how many other people have you done this with, and that's kind of like, okay, cool, like you seem like a pro to this, but that's just kind of what works with me.
I know we got milliseconds left, but one quick question to add to this, it's the same thing. Have you ever just told a woman, I don't want to engage with you sexually. I want to value you higher. Have you ever had that conversation with the woman who was being aggressive and let her know that I don't want your body like that? Either of you?
Yeah, I've had that. I've had that conversation. I will say this: I've done that, but I haven't done it consistently.
Mhm.
So what happens is I've said no, no, and then I'll go a couple weeks, no, no, and if you're in a relationship, like what happens is, you do it for a little while and then you're back to the same old thing. So for me, it's doing that at all times, and I mean, to just kind of draw in that last question with, how do we get in? Like, I've been now so more trying to be open about what it is that I struggle with my brothers and, some of my other accountability partners so that I'm not on an island. So my brothers they'll randomly text me, and it's not because I've told them anything. It's just they sense it because they know, I mean, I'm wrestling through some things even right now, and so they know that. So they'll randomly be like, yo, bro, you want to go play ball? Yo, bro, you want to do this? Yo, we can ready to go eat. Or I have other friends that'll do that sort of thing. So for me, it's disciplining myself to receive the accountability in those situations. And what happens is oftentimes you don't want to receive the accountability because you want to change, but you don't want to change everything, right? So what you do is you try to hang on to a little piece so that you can look somewhat moved on and progressive, but you're still doing it. But I would say consistency of saying no. That's what's happened to me. Matter of fact, I had a young lady I was dating, I was with, and she was upset with me because I told her no, and accused me of being gay. And you don't turn the other women down, so how you gonna turn me? What's the problem? What did I do? So I mean, like I said, this conversation is so deep. It is so complex. I think we really need to have a part 4, part 5, part 6.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And honestly and truthfully, AB, I don't know what you plan on doing, but maybe you want to pull us together and we almost have like a panel where we answer questions live together, women, because this is deep, man. This is deep.
We're definitely gonna bring it back, but I'm gonna answer the question short and sweet and then wrap it up. How do I maintain? I have to thank God for goals. Like Maurice said, I got a lot of goals that I'm trying to reach that I occupy my schedule with. Thank God for making me a guardian. My son is primary. And because I'm trying to be a good example for him, it helps me to control my behavior. I don't want to be bringing a whole bunch of women around my son and him seeing his dad, just running around crazy. And lastly, I thank God for God because of God, because I'm a Christian man, I try my best to govern myself to what I know he wants me to do. I don't always do it right. I fall off, but because I try to live up to what God wants, I'm able to stay on that path a lot better than when I just didn't care.
Absolutely.
So once again, thank you guys. Thank you, ladies, for being a part of the show. Please, real quickly, Tracy, tell them where they can find you, where people can reach out to you.
Yep. So you can find me on social media at Tracy Ready TV. But the primary platform is the Soul Care for Single Black Women. Yes, it's long, but you can find it on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter too. And you can visit my website at tracyready.com.
Yeah, and I see it's getting cloudy where you are. It's getting dark over there. It was nice and sunny when you first started. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being a part of the show. I appreciate all your comments, all your thoughts, all the wisdom that you brought. Once again, my name is AB Bracewell. This is What Was He Thinking? The Sexual Education of Black Men in America. Have a good night.